Next up, we've got Glider presenting our Eli Rubel and Justin Thiele.
Hey everybody, my name is Eli Rubel, and I'm joined here today by my co-founder, Justin Thiele. Before I get started, I just wanted to make sure we can all agree that one of the best parts of our jobs is pushing paper. I mean, there's nothing more gratifying than tracking down that latest licensing agreement from our attorney, negotiating the fine points with a potential customer, getting sign-offs from internal departments, red lines, signatures. All right, let's face it, everybody hates dealing with contracts. But contracts are everywhere. Sales agreements, employment agreements, partnership agreements. In fact, in the US alone, there are more than 500 million contracts executed every year. And in practically every case, the contract process looks something like this. You're dealing with drafts, requests, manager approvals, customer approvals, negotiations, revisions, re-revisions, and ultimately, signatures. But this is just one contract. The average rep is juggling about 30 of these at any given time. And when you have 50, 100, 150, 1,000 reps in your organization, your contract process very quickly turns into this. Welcome to contract management as we know it today. At Glider, we're on a mission to make managing this process drop dead simple. Glider makes it incredibly easy to see how close each of your deals are to closing and keep track of which deals need your immediate attention. Throughout an organization, users can seamlessly request and share documents, get manager approvals, and get signatures from people both inside and outside of their organization. Glider brings structure, clarity, and reporting to any workflow, from something as simple as requesting documents from your corporate counsel or consolidating an onslaught of vendor agreements for an event such as this, or even managing that complex process behind mergers and acquisitions. Let me show you how easy it is. So this is our workflow builder. It's comprised of simple visual building blocks that each represent common tasks, things like requesting documents, getting approvals, and getting signatures. One of our most common use cases is a sales contract, so why don't we set one up? We'll start off by requesting a document from our legal team. Let's say we need a master licensing agreement, and then we'll select a due date. Next, we're probably going to want to get a manager to approve this before sending it over to the customer, so we'll grab that approval step. And finally, before the deal can close, we're going to need both internal and external signatures. So let's grab that Get Signature block. As you can see, both internal and external parties can be added to any step. Once created, Glider takes care of all the requests and reminders so no babysitting is required. Not only does Glider paint a clear roadmap for all of your deals, but it makes them dead simple to follow. When someone's blocking a deal, we let them know. Glider automatically sends a link where they can quickly view the entire document history, make quick comments, or approve and sign in just one click. And just like any other action in Glider, as soon as someone comments, approves, or signs a document, your entire team is notified immediately. For those of you in the management seat, I'd like you to think back to your last quarter-end crunch. Was it easy for you to know exactly which contracts and deals were going to close in time? Glider gives you a dashboard where you can see in one place how many deals are off in legal land, how many deals are stuck in internal or external negotiations, and how many deals are actually out for final customer signature. Until today, the only way for executives, VPs, and managers to get their hands on this valuable data was through the tedious process of emailing and calling for individual status updates all the way throughout the org chart. We're not just making contract management super easy for the enterprise. We're reinventing the way that people interact with documents in the workplace. I'll wrap things up by quickly exploring the opportunity size in this market. On one side, you have the CRMs, Salesforce, Sage, SAP, Zoho. This is where everything gets started. And on the other side, you have the DocuSigns and the EchoSigns who have already built a rapidly growing market out of that final step. But remember that painful portion in the middle? That's where Glider is shortening close times and keeping teams working together seamlessly. All right, I'll wrap things up with a couple of announcements. So we've raised a $1 million seed round to date, led by True Ventures. And I'm excited to announce, for the first time today, all of the customers who have been patiently waiting for our pilot program, including teams at Microsoft, VMware, Zillow, WebTrends, and American Airlines, will all get access today. For those of you in the audience, if you're among the first 100 companies to sign up with the code TCDisrupt, you can skip the line and get access right alongside them. So if you're ready to go from this to this, head to glider.com and untangle the mess. Happy gliding.
Judges.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
I think it looks like there's something there for like the blocking and tackling components of contract negotiations or deal doing, but it's often the informal things that happen when you're negotiating a contract or trying to get a contract done or getting a deal done that are actually some of the most important pieces. So I'm wondering if you guys are capturing some of that, whether it's a conversation, whether it's engagement, whether it's the feel of the person on the other side or the sentiment of, in-house, how you guys are feeling about the deal. Like, does that get captured here in the tool somewhere for people to consume that information too as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's super important, and in our first version, we've tried to address that. So people can make comments within that deal detail page. So where they're seeing where, here's our big roadmap, here's where we are within that contextually, here are all the comments that have gone back and forth. You can CC emails into the platform just like any other, modern SaaS tool today. Ultimately, down the road, we definitely want to try to capture more of that. There will always be that kind of nuance to it still, but I think bringing that structure and clarity to, the process globally when you're juggling a bunch of these things is something that nobody's really nailed yet.
Go ahead, Marissa.
Oh, I overall really like the scale of what you're doing. I had no idea. I mean, the 500 million contracts annually is pretty staggering. I do think, though, that to Ime's point, I really think that one of the hard things about contracts is that the process in which you're trying to capture is in fact complicated. And this looks like a terrific tool that gives really good visibility into where contracts are in that process. How can it go about simplifying the process overall? So that makes sense. I think it makes it really clear to understand what's going on and sort of makes it less noodly.
Right.
But I'm not sure that it actually makes it easier to negotiate or understand what's going on with the contract in terms of the actual essence of it.
Right. So one of the things that we heard over and over and again that people were struggling with was that there's all this context that's disconnected, and generally speaking, their deals follow the same format. And in order to take any action step, whether it's approving something or signing something, they had to dig through these email threads and kind of figure out where the deal even was in the first place to get to that point where now they're starting to pay attention to those nuanced things. And so I think that we're providing that structure to immediately understand where you are contextually, and then make faster decisions, which leads to, right now the problem, many managers take a long time to approve things or sign things because they simply don't know where to focus their attention. And so we can immediately call their attention to things that are, just action steps, provide the context there.
The tool seems really nice and real good attention to detail in the workflow. It does feel a little narrow in that it's a specific document management platform, workflow management platform for contracts. And it feels like there might be some missed opportunity in that positioning. Of course, you're early and you got plenty of other things you can do. But I'd like to see something like this having more knowledge capture in it. To Marissa's point about accelerating the time it gets to make a deal happen, can you start with a library of documents? There's a couple of startups doing that are trying to simplify the costs of legal document creation by just having a whole bunch of documents that are already created. Besides just the workflow management, where do you take it from here to turn it into a bigger idea?
Yeah, so I think one of the interesting things is that if you think about documents today, we still just think of them as documents. And there's been a lot of abstraction in other spaces, but we see documents as data objects, and nobody's learning anything right now from those data objects. So we see ourselves as capturing that information, and as we grow and as we have more resources to release more features, we start to provide reporting that provides that insight into those intricacies. Yeah.
What about some bizarres? We don't have here social graph, we don't have here virtualization, no social thread, no crowdsourcing, no gamification and no virtual goods. How we are going to survive with this kind of application?
It's my stage dancing. Yeah.
This was the correct answer. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and the background of your partner?
Certainly. So I have a background that's completely different than most tech founders. I started off in the nonprofit space, in the arts world. I got kind of sick of some of the bureaucracy there, and so I moved into the tech space, made a couple of early battle scars, and now am doing this. We stumbled to this because we were frustrated with how complicated a simple process of closing our first financing was. And so we became obsessed with process and workflow. My co-founder, Justin, has been a director of marketing at a couple of startups. He ran his own company for 3 years, so he brings that side of the table. We both love user interface design, and the challenge behind solving workflow, I think it's something that's really daunting for a lot of people, and I think that's why not too many companies have gone after it. And so that's just something that excites us.
One more question, just in terms of like how this operates inside of a company. I mean, I think a lot of bigger companies have like a global authority matrix in terms of who needs to sign off at what level.
Right.
Is it possible to encode that into Glider? And if so, like how easily does it work?
Absolutely. So one of the things we let you do is create templates. So we hear people say all the time, like, I only do the same 6 workflows with the same collaborators over and over and over again. And so all you have to do is define those workflows once, save them as your template, and then the proving manager is always the same person unless you change it, and all the different parties are always connected in the same way. The only thing that changes generally are the documents. Potentially, you can even templatize the documents, or the external collaborators.
Great. Well, that was Glider. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.